Thank you for joining us today to honor the life of Malcolm Collins, husband, father, grandfather, cousin, and friend of those gathered here. Your presence is a blessing to our family as we give words to our sorrow, as we seek to mourn without the hopelessness which breaks the overwrought heart. In my dad's spontaneous mixing of English and Swahili, tume barikiwe. Shakespeare said that some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I think that phrase helps us understand the strengths and sorrows of my dad's life. Malcolm was born tall. He towered over his family and friends, including Barbara. That height was one thing that attracted her to him. His children climbed up his shoulders. We tried for many years unsuccessfully to dunk him in the pool and the ocean. During his mid-20s and early 30s, my dad achieved a great beard. You will see pictures in the slideshow. It was impressive. The great beard shows us his great sense of humor. My dad described his life with a story about two holes. He fell into a literal hole as a child. He fell into a figurative hole as a college student and young adult. The beard followed male fashion in the 1970s. It also helped him hide after those rocky years. He experienced grace. He met and married my mom. Gregory and I were born. He decided that he didn't need to hide his face from the world. He also decided that he should listen to my mom's growing comments about the bush. Healing combined with humor. On Christmas Eve of 1980, without telling my mom, he shaved his beard completely. He climbed into bed and kissed her goodnight. She felt something was different, but in northern Kenya, without electricity, decided not to light a candle or a lantern. She shrieked the next morning. He laughed. He enjoyed the confused looks from people who saw him. Are you Malcolm's brother that he never told us about? Malcolm had a great love of cars. His childhood reflections are fuzzy about chronological events, but full of details about the Jeeps and Land Rover his family owned. In his final years at media, he loved to sit on the porch with my mom. She loves the lake. He loved to listen to the cars drive by. He loved driving cars in difficult places. There was something about it that he found inherently rewarding. He particularly loved the muddy roads on our family camping trips to Mount Elgon. They meant that his aspiring teenage drivers had to give up the wheel and let him drive. Like the great humor hidden behind his great beard, his love of tricky roads hid a great love of adventure. My dad was an only child who loved the adventure of a large family. His limited athletic skills did not stop him from playing games with us. The thing that did stop him was tears of gladness. Yes, his greatness included a great ability to cry when he laughed, something he passed on to his children and grandchildren. Malcolm's love of adventure showed up in his love of people. Some of you know the chorus that begins, "In the stars his handiwork I see." While he appreciated nature, Malcolm was most enthusiastic about the handiwork of God and human culture. It's very easy to be threatened by people who are different from us. The biblical story of Babel shows humanity's desire for control and uniformity, the tower, as well as his struggle to live with diversity. Malcolm wasn't threatened by people who were different from him. He knew that they all carried the image of God. Differences were signs of human and divine creativity. He loved to learn their languages, stories, and share in their lives. He nurtured the vision of cultural diversity that we see at Pentecost and in Revelation. As the Lutheran liturgy prays, this was a foretaste of the feast to come. Malcolm had great expectations thrust upon him. He was the son of pioneer missionaries. Tom and Ruth were great. They had iron wills. They lived their faith and care for the world with incredible toughness. He wanted to be like them. He felt that this would somehow overcome the shame of his adoption and shadow of his two holes. Paradoxically, I think that shadow was part of his greatness. In 1971, my dad wrote a poem about getting onto an airplane with a flight plan that held joy, excitement, crying, and pain. In that poem, he decided he didn't want to be a pilot. He was content to be a passenger, seated with a safety belt of truth fastened around him. In the midst of turbulent storms, doubts, and fears, he would tell his soul to be still and know that God is God. He spent the rest of his life cultivating an active stillness which helped him navigate many storms and adventures. The gentle strength which grew from that active stillness was my dad's great gift to the world. He didn't pursue adventure because he was confident. He didn't love people around him because he was sure of himself. His commitment to showing love was stronger than his fear, wounds, and uncertainty. We've been flooded with stories of that gentle love. Your dad always made me feel seen, said a classmate of my brother's. He came to visit my mom in the village after my dad died, said the daughter of a staff member at the missionary college. I began my reflection with a literary reference which honors my dad's skill with words. I will close with another one. This is from a letter I read to my dad the last time I saw him alive. Dad, although you read a great deal, you were often quiet when your family discussed books and ideas from books. I don't know if you ever read Victor Hugo. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that you did. In Les Mis, Valjean's life after his encounter with the bishop is one of grace, but he always sees himself as a convict. As he prepares for death, Fantine and the bishop sing a song of comfort. Here's what that song might sound like for you. Dad, we bless your name. Dad, lay down your burden. You touched our lives with love, and you will be with God. You may go where illness never binds you, all your grief at last behind you. We know that the Lord in heaven looks down on you in mercy, forgives you of your trespasses. He'll take you to his glory. Hold out your hand. Christ will lead you to salvation. Go with our love, for love is everlasting. And remember the truth that once was spoken. To love another person is to see the face of God. On this flight from earth to heaven, go with our love, Dad. You've helped us see the face of God.